Welcome back to Lingfield. Now, a familiar face kindly joins us, but you look on the card, he hasn't got any rides, he hasn't got any runners. He's sporting a trainer's hat, and he's ready to go. Johnny, what brings you to Lingfield?
No, my daughter Caroline's riding the last in the apprentice race for Desi Donovan, so I brought her over this morning. We rode out a couple of lots at home and we left there at 12 o'clock, so it's nice to pop over and see her ride, and hopefully she'll have a good chance. Yeah, I mean, I've watched her on a couple of occasions, Dundalk in the evening. She's absolutely mad keen, and you've got a couple for her to ride at the moment. Yeah, we bought a couple of horses there at the November sales, and they're doing well. She's getting a feel for it. She was doing a bit of eventing, but as soon as she started riding out and pulling up the leathers and going a bit fast up the old Vic, I think she's got bitten by the racing bug, so she's very keen at the moment now. This is her first outside ride, so she's a little bit nervous, but we walked the track there early and she seems to have settled into it, and she's really excited about it. Now, she says she's keen. You were mad keen at the same sort of age, just couldn't wait to get out there, and she's part of the team. We'll have a chat about that. You decided to pull up stumps. It was on the mind for a while after being so up for it. Yeah, well, I was so busy, you know. I just, you know what it takes now to be a top-class jockey. It's not just you arrive at the races and everything else happens like that. You know, I wake up every morning. I used to have to go for a run for an hour, take off 3, 4, 5 pound every day just to ride. So there isn't much time. There isn't enough hours in the day for all that and training 45 horses. So I just really decided that I have to concentrate on one career. I've been a jockey for 27 years. I'm on the back 9 now, and you know, it's time to put 100% focus into the training. We've got 45 horses, we've got lots of new owners, and I decided now is the time. I don't think I would have been able to repeat last year. It was a great year. It was a great year to go out on, and it's been on my mind for a while, but it was only in recent weeks that, you know, you have to make a decision, Johnny. You know, it's one way or the other, and, you know, I decided that now is the time to concentrate on the training. I'm loving that. We just turned on to the back 9. You must have turned on to the back 9 about 4 under, 5 under. Well, it was the back 9 a fella told me, and it wasn't the 10th or 11th, so it was my time. And I've been hugely lucky with injuries, no injuries. I've had a great career. So, listen, it's more on to the next career now. Yeah, moving on to the next career, we talked about Caroline. She's part of the team, the setup at home. Half of it is the people now around you to take the whole shooting match forward. Well, I like that. I like being, you know, I like having people around me. You know, I like, you know, I'd say I'm easy enough to work for. It's, you know, it's just everybody knows what we do. You know, there's no orders. You know, we set the standards. They're pretty high, so everybody knows what we have to do. We've got 10 staff. We've got a couple of apprentices. Valerie's the head girl. We've got a very good team, and I believe if you have good riders, you'll have good horses, because the riders are the main thing. And the biggest part for me is just sitting back and letting them at it. You know, just don't get in the way or don't start complicating things. See, everybody knows what to do. We had a busy work morning this morning. We worked 12 on first lot. We had 10 on second lot. So they're getting going now, and, you know, I've no problem getting jockeys. The lads, you know, the lads are mad keen to show up and give me a hand. So I'm really looking forward to it. And as you said, with good people behind you, it makes the job easier. How hard is that to stand back and just let the system run itself? Because I know you... it must be quite tempting to be that hands-on. I'm very hands-on, but, as I said, you know, there's no point in keep harping on and on about people. You know, you have to kind of give them that little bit of freedom. You know, my wife, Orla, runs the office, so that's a huge help. You know, I don't go into the office only every now and again when she says, I want to have a chat with you. Which is not good, because, you know, as she says, your business planning is not as good as it should be, you know, because if a horse needs something, I usually just go and get it. And, listen, I think that's the way it is, you know, the horses, they need back machines and, you know, different things, and I just seem to go and get it. So when I have a chat with her, it's not as good, but she runs the office side of it. I'm out in the yard from feed at 6 in the morning. We usually start at 7, finish at 12:30, so there's a long day. You know, it's a long day and a lot of work. But I'm very hands-on, and as you said, the biggest part is just sitting back and let people... I have a lot of young people work for me, so... So now this is the way it works here. Get in there and sink or swim. But you've enjoyed... That's your 100% attitude anyway. You're focused on it. You're very open. You're very honest. Spade's a spade. Straight in. So it's the right thing to pay it your full attention. Yeah. You know, and as you said, that's what you do, people. You know, if you're not employing them in the first place... If you're not happy with them employing them in the first place, you shouldn't have them. So I employ them and I have full trust in them. And as I said, I just let them go in there and they know what they have to do. They have to ride out the 4 lots. And I think it's a good way to work. See, I'm just the top of it, so it emanates down from me. So how I am in the mornings, you know, I'd have to be telling myself how I am in the mornings, be positive, be upbeat. You know what I mean? You're going to meet 10 people along the way.
Yeah.
How they're going to be in the next 15 minutes, the way you say good morning, hello, and that to them, you know. So if you come out growling at them, you know, I'd rather them working for me if they like me than being working for me under fear, which is probably not a great atmosphere.
You mentioned someone who's going to be a huge part of the operation going forward and has been the absolute cornerstone from the moment that I've known you, and that's Orla.
Yes, you know, when I was a jockey, again, I didn't have to look at any of the office work, I didn't have to respond to any letters, open any letters. That was all Orla's department. If I was flying to England, I'd ring her up and say, Orla, I'm going to England on Saturday. So she'd come back, me boarding pass, me passport. So, like, all I had to do was all I had to do, but, you know, I really just had to concentrate on the riding. You know, everything else was done, and we had 5 kids as well, so she was looking after them as well. So she's a huge help, and, you know, stability. I needed stability in my life, and that's, you know, she's brought that.
The team are at a good level already. You've had some wonderful letters off different trainers, and you know, about being able to do the player manager and all that sort of business, and you know, that's only going to set you in good stead for later on. But the team are of a very high level.
We've got a lot of nice horses. You know, Andrew Tinkler sent over, you know, a lot of his horses from England, and they were very high classed. We just had to pick out the right races for them, find out their little likes and dislikes. But we were lucky; we won a couple of group races last year. Won the Group 2 in Ascot. Listen, people say, what's your expectations for this year? I want to win a Group 1. You know, that's the starting point for me. I want to win a Group 1. I want to have a horse to run and win a Group 1. So I set my standards high. So there's always going to be disappointments when you set them that high. But if you don't, you know, if I get up in the morning and say I'm going to do the best I can, well, I'd be codding myself. You know, you'd be going half-hearted. I did the best I could. So I'm setting the standard very, very high. And going back, I've got a lot of lovely letters from people, you know. They enjoyed my career. They enjoyed riding me watch. And, you know, William Haggis came over to me a couple of years ago. And I was writing a good bit for him at the time, and he says to me, now, Johnny, you can't be a player or manager. You know, it doesn't work. You have to concentrate on one, you know what I mean? So after last year and after beating him in the Champions Day, and he rang me up and I says, well, I listened to you, but it was a year later. But there was loads and loads of well-wishers, and it's been, listen to it, when I look back at my career, I've been very lucky. I've ridden for some great owners, some great trainers, and the horses I've ridden. You know, you have to look at the list to realise. People say, what's the best one?
Yeah.
How would you pick one out?
You couldn't pick one out. Would this, not picking one out particular, is there a horse you haven't been asked about that you thought, well, he was pretty good, she was pretty good, and she sort of slipped, or he slipped under the radar?
Well, Ridgewood Pearl was great. You know, she won 4 Group 1s that year. Irish Guineas, Coronation, Prix de Moulin, America. And, like, she was very, very, very good, very tough, great. You know, for a filly, she was like a cold 500 kilos, worked well, never disappointed, always ran well. And I know Willie Carson keeps saying he rode the boots off me in Ascot, but she just mightn't have been at her best that day. You know, she just after coming back from France. But she was one that would always have a soft spot in my heart. But like Timorida, Peeping Fawn, you know, like Dancing Rain, just the fillies. That's just the fillies alone, you know. And I always, when I was starting off, I used to look at the stallion book, and you see Pat Edry canting at the start, or Steve Cotton canting the start on a stallion, and I always thought, wouldn't it be great to ride a stallion, have your picture in the book? And like, when I look at the stallion book now, I've ridden a lot of them.
Plenty of them. One trainer, Johnny, horseman. You count yourself as a horseman as well. Look, you've moved past the jockey stage now. You've got to be a different type of horseman. Have you picked up something from a little bit of this, a little bit of that from everyone?
Yes, I think I have. You know, as I said, there's so many great trainers I've ridden for, and you can pick up. They all have different strengths. So I'm just trying to pick off the different strengths from different people. You know, Aidan's big day, ready, go through the wall. John Knox is every day just solid. Get to the 2 marker, they're going to run like him. Very solid, very honest. Stouties, fresh, bubbly, like him. Haggises, you know what I mean? You know, just attention to detail. Fanshawe. You know, Fanshawe, brilliant trainer. Like when he had those fillies, Soviet Song, the filly last year that won the fillies and mares.
Yeah.
You know, not many trainers would do with her. She was tricky, and he'd done a great job with her. So, a guy in Australia, John Sadler, I worked for him in Dubai, done different things, schooled them, and, you know, real Aussie style. And then I went to America and I worked with Paddy Gallagher, you know, the legs and soundness and this and that. So so many people, so many different strengths, and just trying to pick a little bit off everybody and then bring them to your own. Like my philosophy is just keep it simple, keep the horses happy, you know, find out what they like and what they don't like, and channel it into that and their energy into that way, and you know, treat them well, and look after their health and their welfare, and they'll run for you.
I speaking to Stuart Williams here the other day when it was announced about your retirement, and I said, go on, what made him a great jockey then? Come on, tell me something different. And he said, I pride myself on being able to know everything about my horses, but you were able to come in and tell him something he didn't know, so it's in...
I think I was always good at that. I think some of the trainers, I used to drive them mad because I'd be telling them, don't do this and do that, and, you know, run them over a mile. But I'd always a good way of... I used to find it difficult if I didn't know what they wanted, what distance they wanted, what ground they wanted, what they liked and what they didn't like. After one ride on them, there was usually a reason, you know, and the ones that you couldn't figure out, maybe they'd no trip, maybe they were no good, maybe they were disappointing. But that's the thing, you know, riding them out in the mornings again and being with them so much now, I can see why trainers love their horses, because I love them now. You're there every day with them. You know, people say you get off them, and sometimes I'll be pretty bad, useless, and walk away. But now you can't say that. You're with them all the time. And if someone says to me, your horse is useless, well, I'll be following him into the jockey's room to sort him out.
Hey, last question. It's a shocker of a question. Caroline to win the last, or Group 1 next year?
Well, Caroline to win the last today, because my philosophy is a day at a time. So her to win today and then Group 1 during the year. But listen, I think she'll do well. She's very, very keen, and I can see her now. You know, she's got her dad with her, who's an agent, personal assistant, personal dietitian, track walker. So listen, I can just only point her in the right direction, and if things take off, great, and if it doesn't, I'm sure she'll have a good career anyway, whatever she takes up.